Hello everyone. In this session, we will discuss how to search in a database. Right? In last sessions, we have discussed how to register a particular user or client, okay, to our application. Now it's a time to see how to search a particular registered user, okay, in a given database. Okay, so this is the one advanced step, okay, what we have discussed previously, right? So now one thing is very clear is that, okay, if you want to search in a database, okay, your application has to connect with the database. Okay, whatever with the database, it can be a MySQL, it can be Oracle, okay, but your application has to connect with the database. So my application is present here and it has to connect with the database. Okay, I am showing, okay, on the screen, okay, the application has to connect with the database. What I have done in a database is that, okay, so first thing is that I have created a company database. Okay, it is known to you. Okay, so I am using a same database, company, use company command. Okay, by using this command, okay, I am using a company database, right? Okay, this is my command. Okay, so when I am firing this command, I am actually using a company database. Okay, within that company database, I have created student table. Okay, so if you look at this particular student table, the attributes are uname. Okay, it is of type varchar, okay, and 20 is the size. Next is a umail, that is a user mail. Then upass and ucountry. So these are the attributes or column names, okay, which are present in a student database. Okay, so I have created a table called the student table. So I will not create this table again because I will get an error if already that particular table exists in a database. Okay, you will get an error. So I have already created it. Okay, on the screen you can see, okay, I have created this table. Okay, so now the next part is that I have inserted some data into the table. I have inserted this data. Okay, username as Rahul, then user mail as a Rahul at gmail.com, then user password and user country I have inserted in the database. And I have considered that all attributes or all columns are of type varchar. Right? Okay, so if the data type is a varchar in case of database, okay, you have to specify in a single quotation. So I am specifying these attributes in a single quotation. Right? So in case of Java, okay, we are not having a varchar data type, we are having a string data type, right? Okay, so this particular varchar in a database is considered to be a string in case of a Java programming. And afterwards, I have fired this command, that is select star from student. Once I have fired this particular command, okay, I will display the data which is present in the student table. Okay, so if I have fired this particular command, okay, data is displayed, and data is having these columns: uname, umail, upass, ucountry as a column names or attribute names, and these are the values. So this is the actual data. So as I have inserted only one record, okay, of only one student, so I am getting a single tuple or single record in the table. Okay, name of the table is student. You can insert some more students also. It is up to you how many students you want to insert it. Okay, if you are having a 50 students, then you can insert a data or records of a 50 students. Now what I am trying to tell you is that, okay, if you enter username as a Rahul, okay, in your Java application, in this Java application, if you have entered username as a Rahul, in that case you can able to extract all the details of that Rahul. All the details of the student whose name is Rahul. Right? Okay, you want to extract all the details. Okay, what is his username? Okay, then what is his or her user mail ID? Then what is user password and user country? Okay, because only four columns, four attributes are present. Okay, you can able to extract this data. Right? So one important thing is that, okay, you have to make some provision, take the input from the user, and input should be a username. Okay, so username is the input which we will take from the user. Okay, and given for the given username, we will display the data, okay, which is extracted from the table. Okay, and table is the student, company is a database. Okay, under that we have created a student table. Okay, I have told you in the last session also. Okay, in case of Java, under package we are having a number of classes. Similarly, in case of database, under particular database, okay, we are having a number of relations or table. So within a company database, I am having a table called as a student. I'm also having a table called as a EMP. Okay, we have used that particular EMP table also. Now we'll come back to this particular application. Now for this particular application, okay, I will show you what is my user interface, what is my GUI. This is my GUI. Okay, you can create some you can create your own GUI also, okay, as per your requirements, as per your need. So I have considered this particular part. I have considered this enter. I have provided the facility, okay, to enter a username. Okay, so client or customer will enter or student will enter his or her own username. Okay, and once he or she clicks on the submit button, okay, the records of that particular student should be extracted from the table, and the data should be displayed here. For example, if you are if you have given a username as Rahul, okay, once you click on the submit button, once you click on the submit button, the details of Rahul should be displayed. Okay, you can reset also. Okay, once you reset, okay, all the data, okay, vanishes from this particular location. Right? Okay, if you change the username, okay, some other username you can give, okay, which is not a correct username, and if you click on the submit button, you will get a message that name not found. As per your need, you can modify the message also. Given username is not present, okay, or given student is not present in the database, so accordingly you can change it. Okay, you can give an appropriate message. It is up to you which message you want to give it. But this is the basic funda, okay, of creating such type of application. I think the idea is clear to you. Okay, in order to create such GUI, what you require? Okay, you require this as a label. Okay, you require this label. Then you require a text field. Okay, then you require submit buttons. Okay, one for a submit operation, one for a reset operation. Then you again require four different labels. Okay, because we want to show the extracted data also. Okay, right. Okay, so you require these four labels again. Okay, and in front of these labels you require some text fields, so that you can display the extracted data by using these text fields. I think the basic idea of creating this particular type of a GUI is clear to you. So we'll now move on to our application, right? So we require five labels. Okay, so first label to take the input from the user, and remaining labels to show the output. Okay, similarly we require text fields also, right? Okay, then we require two buttons. So I have created these two button references, BTN and RES. Okay, then we are having a constructor. Okay, you know that for all these components you have to allocate a memory allocation is very required, okay, for all these components, right? So to perform a memory allocation, we have to use the constructor. So within the constructor of a same class, okay, name of the class is switch search app. Within that particular constructor, we will give the memory allocation. So I am here, we are using a super keyword. Super keyword, for what we are using a super keyword? Actually we want to set a title. Okay, so we are actually using a super keyword because, okay, our switch search app, our class is extending a JFrame, right? So within a JFrame we are having its own constructor. So we are using that constructor by using a super keyword. It is up to you, it is up to you whether to use an constructor or not. Okay, if you don't want to use the constructor, then what you can do it, okay, you can write a method directly, set title. This is the best option you are having. You can write this method. Okay, the same activity will be performed by using this set title method. You can set the title. Okay, now if you observe this particular part, you are not using any object. Okay, and it is not required because your class is extending a JFrame. So all the properties of a JFrame are available to the switch search app. Okay, the class is having the all properties of JFrame. So within a JFrame, we are having a different method: set size, set title, set bounds. Okay, all these methods are present. So these methods you can directly use it. There is no need to create an object of a JFrame. We can directly use these methods. Right. So first we are using a set title method. We are giving a title, and afterward, okay, we are doing a memory allocation for remaining components. Remaining components are the labels and text fields. So we are doing this particular memory allocation. So this is my first label, that is enter name. Okay, if you observe this particular part, okay, we are giving the bounds also. It means that we are giving a coordinates also. We are giving the specification of that particular component. and it is required. If you don't give the coordinates, in that case you have to use some layout. Okay, there are different types of layout. We have learned it. Okay, that is flow layout, grid layout, grid back layout. Okay, so there are different types of layouts available. Okay, we can use these layouts, but if the programmer wants to give the coordinates as per his or her own requirements, in that case the best possibility is that you can use the set bounds method. So that's why we are using a set bounds method. But if you observe this particular GUI, okay, by observation itself you can identify this particular fact. So I am running this application again. Okay, so you can see the GUI. For this particular enter name label, okay, you have to specify x coordinate as well as y coordinate. Okay, but for uname label, okay, you can keep x coordinate as it is, because this is your x axis, right? But you have to increase your y coordinate proportionately. It is very required. Right? So in a computer graphics also we have seen it. Okay, that is our computer Cartesian system. Okay, in that case this is your positive x, this is your positive y, and accordingly you have to manipulate the coordinates. So for this particular label you have to give the coordinates. Okay, and then you have to specify what is the width and what is the height of the coordinate. So we are specifying it, right? So we are specifying for this particular label. Okay, in front of the label we are having a text field to take the input from the user, right? So for that particular text field, again we are specifying the coordinates. X coordinate is 130, right? Why is it 130? You can easily tell me. Okay, why is it 130? Because 20 is the starting point of this particular label, and the width of this label is 100. We have specified, so this is your width. So 20 plus 100, that is 120. Up to 120, coordinate value 120, label is present. Okay, and in front of label you require a text field. So your text field starting point should be greater than 120. If it is less than 120, then two components will overlap on each other, and we want to avoid it. We don't want that two components are overlapping on each other. If this happens, in that case we will not get a perfect GUI. Right? So we have discussed this particular part so many times in the last semester also, when we are learning Java applet. Okay, so we have to keep in mind. You have to keep in mind that two components should not overlap. So they should be well separated from each other. So in case of computer graphics also we have seen it, how to manipulate the coordinates. So it is very easy how to manipulate the coordinates. It requires some practice, but after practice you can understand how to manipulate the coordinates. Similarly, you can give, okay, what is the width? Okay, for a label we don't require a higher width, but for a text field you require some more higher width, because it is possible that particular fellow is having a long name. It is possible, right? Because particular fellow may have a long username. It is up to that particular user only. It is his or her own choice, right? So that's why we are specifying a higher width for that particular text field. Afterwards we are having a buttons. We are having a submit button, right? And again we are specifying the coordinates for the submit button. And for that particular submit button we are using a add action listener, because when particular user input the username and clicks on the submit button, at that time you want to communicate with the database, extract the data from the database and show the output. So you want to perform some event handling activity, and if you want to perform some event handling activity, you has to use the add action listener method, right? So this add action listener method is present under a action listener interface. That's why we are implementing a action listener interface. And once you click on this particular, once you call this particular add action listener method, internally we are redirecting to a action perform method, right? And for this add action listener method we are specifying the parameter as a this. So this means that, okay, we want to perform this event handling activity for a current class. The current class is switch search app. This is my current class in which I want to perform a event handling activity. Okay, similarly we are giving for a reset button. Okay, accordingly we are manipulating the coordinates, and then again we are using a add action listener command. Again for this particular part also we are using a this parameter. Similarly, okay, on the same lines you can manipulate the remaining labels and remaining text fields accordingly the coordinates are given. Now it is up to you. Okay, if you want to, if you want to change these coordinates, you can change it. Okay, no problem with in that particular case. But important point is that the two components should be well separated. So you should keep in mind that fact. Okay, once you keep in mind that fact, it is very easy. If you are having some problem, okay, on plain paper you can draw this particular GUI and then you can manipulate the coordinates and accordingly you can give it. It is very easy task in that case. Now if you observe this particular fact, okay, we are using a set layout method because, and the parameter for this method is null, because we don't want to use some ready layout which is given by the architecture developer. We want to manipulate the layout, okay, on its own. So programmer wants to give you the coordinates, okay, on its own. That's why we are using a parameter as null. Okay, afterwards we are adding all these components, labels, text fields and buttons on our frame. We don't require an object of a frame because our class is actually extending our JFrame. Right? So there is no need to use the object of a frame. So we are adding all these components on our class or on our frame, and then we are giving a set editable method. Okay, what is the significance of set editable method? I have told you in some in previous sessions. Okay, if you make this set editable method as a true, in that case user can modify, okay, on the runtime. Okay, user can modify the data on the runtime. We don't require it. Right, the data which is present in the database, that data should be reflected, on our GUI. Okay, it should not be the case that, okay, the particular user is modifying the data on its runtime. It is not possible. The data which is given on in when particular user is registering for our application, or particular student is registering for our college applications or school application, at that time the same data, okay, should be reflected. It should not be modified directly. So that's why we are using a set editable as false. Okay, it is up to the application, in which application you are using is accordingly you can make this set editable as true or false. Okay, in this case it is not required to edit the given data. That's why we are making it a false. Then we are going to action perform method. Within that action perform method, we are testing that even the given click button is a submit button or reset button. If it is a submit button, then we have to give the database connectivity because we want to extract the data. So we are giving a database connectivity part. Okay, then we are using a prepared statement. What is the significance of prepared statement? You know about it. Okay, when particular input data is not available, okay, when you are writing a SQL query, the data is not available at compile time, it is not available, and the data will be available at a runtime. Okay, we are using a prepared statement. Okay, by using that particular prepared statement, we are preventing the SQL injection attack. We have also seen what is SQL injection attack. In case of industry, this attack is very significant. Okay, so industry is avoiding this attack by using a concept called as a prepared statement. So that's why we are using a prepared statement, and we are giving a query as select star from a student where uname equal to question mark. Okay, and first question mark is indicated by using a number 1. Okay, if you are having a 2 question marks, you can use the different numbers and you are giving that particular str value. So within that str you are having a username. Okay, username which is entered by the user, right? Okay, on the basis of that username, okay, you are extracting the data. Okay, the data is extracted by using this execute query method, and the data is present under rs, and by using that rs we are extracting the data and we are setting that data on our text fields. So there are two things. We have to extract the data from the database and then we want to show the data. That's why we are using a set text method. Right? So set text method is used with these text fields tf1 to tf4. If particular user enters an incorrect username, in that case we will go under a else part, because data is not extracted. rs.next is not true, it is false. It means that the data is not extracted. It means that that username is incorrect. Okay, that particular user may not be present in our database, right? Okay, so in that case we are giving a message that name not found. You can change the message also. You can say that please enter a correct username. Okay, accordingly you can change it. Okay, there is a one more possibility that if you click on the reset button, in that case the data which is displayed on this on particular text field should be resetted. Okay, so all text field should be empty in that case. So that's why if the user clicks on a reset button, so e dot get source is equal to res, that is a reset button. In that case, we will make all text fields as empty or vacant. Okay, and this indicates that okay, we want to reset our application. Okay, it's a general practice to use a reset button. Once you search for some data in, okay, then once you complete that particular task, okay, use a reset button and make all text fields as empty. Now the important part is that about a get source method. This particular get source method, if you observe this particular method, the return type of a get source method is object. So method is returning an object. So object can be a btn in our case, or it can be res. Okay, so name of that btn is submit. Okay, and for every button there are two things. One is called as the name of the object, and second is called as a message which will be displayed on a button. So in this case, we are interested in the name of the object. We are not interested in the message which is displayed on a on that particular button. The message can be a submit, message can be a perform, message can be a execute. Okay, it is up to the programmer which message programmer wants to give. Important thing is that internally, okay, as far as program is considered, we require a name of the object. Okay, so name of the object are btn or res. So if it is a btn, then we have to perform a database connectivity part, and we want to extract the data and show the output. If it is a res, in that case we want to reset the application. It means that you should make all text fields as a empty. Right, so accordingly we are doing it. Okay, which method you are using it, that is very important. So that's why I have told you that okay, you have to learn the methods, okay, which are created by the architecture developer, okay, thoroughly. The methods are very important. Okay, when I am saying that you want to learn the method, it means that you should know the name of the method, you should know the return type of the method, you should know the access specifier of the method, all these things, and what are the input parameters required for the method. If you know about this method, then you can know about that particular implementation. Otherwise it is not possible to understand about the method. Right, okay, so this part we are keeping inside a try block, because there is a possibility of some exception, and exception will be avoided using this try catch technology. And within a main method we are calling a constructor of our class, that is a new search app. This is our class, we are calling a constructor of that class. Once you call a constructor, okay, all part will be executed automatically. Because once you call a constructor, memory allocation is performed, and when particular user clicks on that particular submit button, then add action listener method is called. So when add action listener method is called, internally we are going to action perform method. Right, so we are not actually calling a action perform method. Action perform method is internally called by the add action listener method. Similar to what we have seen in the multi-threading. We are not actually calling a run method of a thread class. Actually we are calling a start method of a thread class. Internally run method is executed, because start method of a thread class is internally calling a run method of a thread class. We have seen all these things, okay, how the internal invocation is performed, and we have also seen how to search particular data in a given database. Okay, so now you can search any data in a database. If you have a database, if you have a relation, okay, within that relation you can search a data as per your own needs. It is possible. I think I have explained you a lot, okay, in a lucid fashion. I will share this code also. You can go back to the code. If you have any doubt, okay, please come back to me, okay, or raise your doubt, okay, by using your official network. Thank you. Have a nice day. Happy learning.